Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century,
War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. We know now that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Yet across an immense ethereal gulf, minds that are to our minds as ours are to the beasts in the jungle, intellects, vast, cool, and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. In the 39th year of the 20th century came the Great Disillusionment. Near the end of October, business was better. The war scare was over. More men were back at work. Sales were picking up. On this particular evening, October 30th, the Crosley service estimated that 32 million people were listening in on radios.
Change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Nova Scotia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain accompanied by winds of light gale force. Maximum temperature 66, minimum 48. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We take you now to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you will be entertained by the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the Meridian Room in the Park Plaza Hotel in New York City, we bring you the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra. With a touch of the Spanish, Raymond Raquello leads off with La Comparsita.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory in Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving toward the Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Kidd of the observatory at Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet flame shot from a gun, unquote. Now returning to the waiting for you in the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel situated in downtown New York.
That never loses faith. The everybody
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news given in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories of the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, we have arranged an interview with the noted astronomer, Professor Pearson, who will give us his views on this event. In a few moments, we will take you to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, New Jersey. We return to our show now with the music of Ramon Raquello and his orchestra.
Really? How? Again? Why? Hey. How? How? Why? Could it? Why?
We are ready now to take you to the Princeton Observatory. Charles Phillips, our commentator, will interview Professor Richard Pearson, famous astronomer. We take you now to Princeton, New Jersey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Carl Phillips speaking to you. Large, semicircular room, pitch black except for an oblong split in the ceiling. This is also like to see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the reflection of the blue substance. Ticking sounds you hear, vibrations of pocket. Professor Pearson stands directly above you on a small platform, hearing through the I ask you to be patient, ladies and gentlemen. During any delay that may arise during our interview. Watching the heavens, Professor Pearson may be interrupted by telephone or other communication. During this period, we're in constant touch with the astronomical centers of the world. Professor, may I begin our question?
Any time, Mr. Phillips.
Professor, would you please tell our radio audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Mr. Phillips. A red disc swimming in the blue sea. Red square stripes across the disc. Quite distinct now because Mars happens to be at the point nearest the Earth.
Bullets!
in
More
opposition,
weapons
as
can't
you
hurt.
call it.
Well,
In your
me.
opinion, what do these transverse stripes signify, Professor Pearson?
Not now, I can assure you, Mr. Phillips.
Say,
Although that's the popular conjecture of those who imagine Mars to be inhabited. From a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely the result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
Then you're quite convinced, as a scientist, that living intelligence as we know it does not exist on Mars?
Say the chances against it are 1,000 to 1.
And yet, how do you account for these gas eruptions occurring on the surface of the planet at regular intervals?
Phillips, I cannot account for it.
By the way, Professor, for the benefit of our listeners, how
Add
far
Blue Glow
is
to
Mars
prepare
from
for
the Earth?
liftoff.
Approximately 40 million miles.
Well, that seems to take enough distance. Just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Someone has just handed Professor Pearson a message. While he reads it, let me remind you that we are speaking to you from the observatory in Princeton, New Jersey, where we are interviewing the world-famous astronomer.
Your funeral, Hus!
One moment, please. Professor Pearson has passed me a message which he has just received. Professor, may I read the message to the listening audience?
Certainly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall read you a wire addressed to Professor Pearson, Dr. Gray, of the Natural History Museum, New York. Quote, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seismograph registers shock of almost
Nope.
earthquake intensity occurring within a radius of 20 miles of Princeton. Please investigate. Signed Lloyd Gray, Chief of Astronomical Division. Unquote. Professor Pearson, could this occurrence possibly have something to do with the disturbances observed on the planet Mars?
Hardly. Probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival at this particular time is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct a search as soon as daylight.
I'm not coming back.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we've been speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton, bringing you a special interview with Professor Pearson. This is Carl Phillips speaking. We are returning you now to our New York studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. Toronto, Canada. Professor Morris of Macmillan University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special bulletin from Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m. a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Elizabeth. we have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene. And we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word picture of the scene as soon as he can reach there for print. In the meantime, we take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of
Little
dance.
building.
Take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Defend the band.
This is Carl Phillips, out of the Wilmot Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Dr. Pearson, the hotel place, the 11 miles of Princeton in 10
We've got a bonus in play.
Well, I hardly know where to begin. Paint for you a word picture of a strange scene before my eyes, like something out of the modern Arabian Night. Well, I just got here. I haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. I guess that's the thing.
Unlikely.
In front of me. Half buried in a ground. Cylinder has a diameter of, what would you say? What would you say what's the diameter of this?
About 30 yards.
About 30 yards. The metal on the piece is, I've never seen anything like it. Color is yellowish white. Curious, especially now, I'm very close to the object in spite of the other. In fact, getting in front of my line of vision there. Would you mind standing one side? Pushing crowd back. Over the top. Wilmot, would you please tell the lady the rather unusual visitor that stopped in your backyard? Ladies and gentlemen,
I listened to the radio and kind of drowsy. The professor fellow was talking about Mars. Well, he had
and then what happened?
I was listening to the radio, kind of halfway.
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then you saw it.
Not first off, first time.
And what did you hear?
Hissing sound like this. Kind of like 4th of July rocket.
Yes, then what?
I turned my head out the window and getting sworn I was dreaming.
Yes?
Seen a kind of thing in the street and then bingo. Something smacked the ground. Knocked me clear out of my chair.
Well, where do you find it? Thank you, Mr. Wilmot. Thank you very much. Quite all right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard Mr. Wilmot, owner of the bar where this thing has fallen. I wish I could say the atmosphere that sound of this fantastic thing. Hundreds of cars are parked in the field and back of it.
30 seconds left to go.
Roadway leading into the bar, but it's no use. They're breaking right through. Car's headlights throw an enormous spotlight on the pit where the object has buried. Now, some of the more daring souls now are venturing near the edge. The cigarettes stand out against the metal tube. As one man watched the touch screen, he's having knocked in the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't mentioned in all this excitement, but it's becoming more distinct. You've caught it already on your...
Bonus challenge success. Good job, team.
Do you hear it? The curious humming sound that seems
Not
to come
bad.
from inside
I think
the
we'll need a little more blue
I'll,
glow.
move the microphone nearer.
Add blue glow and get ready to defend the van. Flip the switch when you're ready.
Now, we're not more than 25 feet away. Can you hear it now? Professor Pearson,
Yes,
can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
possibly the cooling of its surface.
I say to you, still take it to meteor, Professor.
Location is definitely extraterrestrial. It's not found on this Earth. The friction of the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in the meteorites and moves them. See if
Now,
cylindrical
just a minute.
shape.
Nothing's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific. This end of the thing is beginning to break off. Top is beginning to rotate like it's doing. This thing must be hollow.
Keep those men back.
Ladies,
The top blue.
ladies and gentlemen, this is the most Wait a minute. Someone calling someone or something. I can see coming out of that black hole.
Defend the van.
The eyes, might be a face, might be almost the heavens. Something wriggling out of the shadow.
We've got a bonus in play.
Now it's another one, and another one, and another one. They look like tentacles here. Big body outside. Like wet leather.
Use your fertilizer.
Way down by gravity rising up now and the cloud falls back. Find wood. Looks like it's already been caught up.
Revival rally. Rising out of the pit and make out a small beam of light against the mirror.
Justice served.
Get the flame springs in the mirror and reach front of these active men. Strike them head on. Spreading everywhere. Coming this way now. About 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, however, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, we have a brief bulletin from San Diego, California. Professor at the center of the California Astronomical Society expressed the opinion that the explosions on Mars are undoubtedly nothing more than severe volcanic disturbances in the surface of the planet. Now we're on the outer limit.
Including 6 state troopers, lie dead in the field east of the village of Grover's Mill. Their bodies burned and distorted beyond all possible recognition. The next voice you hear will be that of Brigadier General Montgomery Smith, commander of the state militia.
Launch in 3, 2, 1. Lift off!
I've been requested by the governor of New Jersey to place the county...
Bonus challenge success. Good job, team.
As far as Gettysburg under martial law. No one will be permitted to enter this area except by special pass issued by state or military authorities. 4 companies of state militia are proceeding from Trenton to Grover's Mill and will aid in the evacuation of homes within the range of military operations. Thank you.
You have just been listening to General Montgomery Smith, commanding the state militia at Trenton. In the meantime, further details of the catastrophe at Grover's Mill are coming in. The strange creatures, after unleashing their deadly assault, crawled back in their pit and made no attempt to prevent the efforts of the firemen to recover the bodies and extinguish the fire. The combined fire departments of Mercer County are fighting the flames which menace the entire countryside. We have been unable to establish any contact with our mobile unit at Grover's Mill, but we hope to be able to return you there at the earliest possible moment. In the meantime, we take you to... Just one moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that we have finally established communication with an eyewitness of the tragedy. Professor Pearson has been located at a farmhouse near Grover's Mill, where he has established an emergency observation post. As a scientist, he will give you his explanation of the calamity. The next voice you hear will be that of Professor Pearson, brought to you by direct wire. Professor Pearson.
Of the creatures in the rocket cylinder at Grover's Mill, I can give you no authoritative information, either as to their nature, their origin, or their purposes here on Earth. Of their destructive instrument, I might
Hiya,
make
Commander.
some technical explanation.
This is gonna be good.
For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a heat ray.
Oh, God, my funny bone.
Scientific knowledge far in advance of our own. It's my
Yo,
guess
what?
that in some way they are able to generate
I'm werewolf
heat at a chamber practically absolute non-conductivity. This intense heat they project in a parallel beam against any object they choose by means of a polished parabolic mirror of unknown composition. Much as the mirror of a lighthouse projects a beam of light. That is my conjecture of the origin of the heat ray.
Thank you, Professor Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a bulletin from Trenton. It is a brief statement informing us that the charred body of Carl Phillips has been identified in a Trenton hospital. Now here's another bulletin from Washington, D.C. The Office of the Director of the National Red Cross reports 10 units of Red Cross emergency workers have been assigned to the headquarters of the state militia, stationed outside of Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Here's a bulletin from State Police, Princeton Junction. The fires at Grover's Mill and vicinity are now under control. Scouts report all quiet in the pit, and there is no sign of life appearing from the mouth of the cylinder. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special statement from Mr. Harry McDonald, Vice President in charge of operations.
We have received a request from the state militia of Trenton to place at their disposal our entire broadcasting facilities. In view of the gravity of the situation, and believing that radio has a responsibility to serve in the public interest at all times, we are turning over our facilities to the state militia at Trenton.
We take you now to the field headquarters of the state militia near Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
This is Captain Lansing of the Signal Corps, attached to the state militia, now engaged in military operations in the vicinity of Grover's Mill. Situation arising from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature is now under complete control. The cylindrical object lies in the pit directly below our position, surrounded on all sides by 8 battalions of infantry. Without heavy field pieces, but adequately armed with rifles. All cause for alarm. Cause ever existed is now entirely unjustified. Things, whatever they are, do not even venture to poke their heads above the pit. See their hiding place plainly in the glare of the searchlights here. With all their reported resources, these creatures can scarcely stand up against heavy machine gun fire. Anyway, it's an interesting outing for the group. I can make out their khaki uniforms, clustering back and forth from the light. Looks almost like a real war. There appears to be some slight smoke in the woods bordering the Millstone River, probably fire started by campers. Well, we ought to see some action soon. One of the companies is deploying on the left flank. A quick thrust and it'll all be over. Oh, wait a minute, on top of the cylinder. No, it's nothing but a shadow. Now the troops are on the edge of the Wilmot Farm. 7,000 armed men closing in on an old metal tube. Well, wait, that wasn't a shadow. It's something moving. Solid metal, kind of a shield-like affair rising up out of the cylinder. Going higher and higher. But it's standing on legs. Actually rearing up on a sort of metal framework. Now it's reaching above the trees and the searchlights are on. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, most of the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Grover Mills has ended one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. 7,000 men armed with rifles pitted against the single attack machine of the invaders from Mars. 120 known survivors. The rest strewn over the battle area from Grover's Mills to flamethrowers, crushed and trampled to death under the metal feet of the monster, or burned to cinders by its heat ray. The monster is now in control of the middle section of New Jersey and has effectively cut the state through its center. Communication lines are down from Pennsylvania to the Atlantic Ocean. Railroad tracks are torn and service from New York to Philadelphia discontinued except routing some of the trains through Allerton and Phoenixville. Highways to the north, south, and west are clogged with frantic human traffic. Police and army reserves are unable to control the mad flight. By morning, the fugitives will have swelled Philadelphia, Camden, and Trenton, which is estimated to be twice their normal population. Martial law prevails throughout New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. This time, we take you to Washington to discuss the broadcast on the national emergency. The Secretary of the Interior.
Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts the country, nor the concern of your government in protecting the lives and property of its citizens. However, I wish to impress upon you, private citizens and public officials, all of you, the urgent need of calm and resourceful action. Fortunately, this formidable enemy is still confined to a comparatively small area, and we may place our faith in the military forces to keep them there. In the meantime, placing our faith in God, we must continue the performance of our duties, each and every one of us, so that we may confront this destructive adversary with a nation united, courageous, and consecrated to the preservation of human supremacy on this earth. I thank you.
You have just heard the Secretary of the Interior speaking to Washington. Bulletins are piling up in the studios here. We're informed that the Central Force in New Jersey is blacked out from radio communications due to the effect of the heat ray upon power lines and electrical equipment. Here's a second bullet from New York. Cables have been received from English, French, and German scientific bodies offering assistance. Astronomers report continuous gas outbursts at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The majority voiced the opinion that the enemy will be reinforced by additional rocket machines. There have been several attempts made to locate Professor Pearson, who has observed Martians at close range. It is feared he was lost in the recent battle. Langham Field, Virginia. Scouting planes saw 3 Martian machines visible above treetops, moving north toward Sullivan with the population fleeing ahead of them. The heat ray is not in use, although advancing at express train speed, invaders pick their way carefully. They seem to be making a conscious effort to avoid destruction of cities and countryside. However, they stop to uproot power lines, bridges, and railroad tracks. Their apparent objective is to crush resistance, paralyze communication, and disorganize human society. Here is a bulletin from Basking Ridge, New Jersey.
Need
Tool
help!
hunters have stumbled on a second cylinder similar to the first, embedded in the
Keep
great swamp
up the
20
good
miles south
work.
of Morristown. Army SEAL pieces are proceeding from Newark to blow up the second invading unit before the cylinder can be opened. Fighting on the ridge. They are taking up a position in the foothills of Washington Mountain. Another bulletin from Langham Field, Virginia. Scouting planes report enemy machines now 3 in number, increasing speed northward, kicking over houses and trees in their evident haste to form a conjunction with their allies south of Morristown. Machines also sighted by telephone operator east of Middlesex within 10 miles of Plainfield. Here's a bulletin from Winston-Salem, Long Island. A fleet of army bombers carrying heavy explosives flying north. Scouting planes actually died.
Oh no! I'm terrified!
Just a moment, please, ladies and gentlemen. We've run special wires to the artillery line and adjacent villages to give you direct reports from the zone of the advancing enemy. First, we take you to the battery of the 22nd Field Artillery, located in the Watchung Mountains.
Range 32 meters.
32 meters.
This shelter's been damaged pretty severely.
Fire.
Looks like the life support modules have all been stolen. These modules inflate and shield the shelter.
Shift range 31 meters. 31 meters.
The modules have to be around here somewhere.
37 degrees.
Search the zone and return the missing parts. Survivor shelters are built by a fleet of construction bots.
One of them.
If the bots are attacked, they enter stealth mode and power down.
The others are trying to repair.
To repair the shelter, we'll need to reactivate all of the construction bots. Unfortunately, their stealth mode is really effective. You're gonna need some help finding those missing construction bots. Let me see if I can send some help. It might take a few minutes.
Look, what is it?
There's an incoming wave detected. We have some time before they arrive. You can search for missing parts now or reinforce the shelter.
Put on gas mask.
The construction bot has been reactivated.
This is 24 meters.
The module will now be
4
installed.
meters. Section 24 degrees. 24 degrees.
Each part will take a minute to install. So, 8 modules, 1 minute per module. That equals a lot of bullets.
Smoke's coming nearer.
Sorry.
23 meters. 23 meters. 22.
A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger. New module installation has begun. Help has arrived. Go find C-Bot. I've marked his location on the map. C-Bot only has a limited amount of energy. If you don't activate its scanner, it will have to return to recharge.
This is Boat reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field.
C-Bot scan is ready to be activated. Defend C-Bot while scanning.
Machines from the Morristown cylinder. 6 altogether. 1 machine partially crippled. Believed hit by shell from Army gun in Watchung Mountain. Guns now appear silent. A heavy black fog hanging close to the earth of extreme density, nature unknown. No sign of heat ray. Enemy now turns east, crossing Passaic River into the Jersey marshes. Another straddles the Pulaski Skyway.
A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger.
Pushing down a high-tension
New module installation has begun.
Teams are close together
Quiet,
now, and we're ready to attack.
I am seeing.
Light circling, ready to strike.
I am seeing.
Hi!
1,000 yards, it will be over the first. Yards.
Are not here.
600.
Enjoy the afterlife.
400. 200. There we go.
Unlikely. A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger.
Only one thing left.
New module installation has begun.
We're diving on the first one.
I have seen the modules.
Now the engine's gone.
The parts are now marked on your map. Thanks, C-Bot.
Bayonne, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. Bayonne, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. Come in, please.
Langham Field. Go ahead.
8 Army bombers in engagement with enemy tripod machines over Jersey Flat. Engines incapacitated by heat ray. All crashed. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now discharging heavy black smoke in direction of
Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey. Warning. Poison black smoke pouring in from Jersey marshes. Region South Street. Gas mask useless.
A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger.
Route 7, 23, 24.
New module installation has begun.
Smoke now spreading over Raymond Boulevard.
Only 2 more modules. Keep searching.
2X2L calling CQ, 2X2L calling CQ, 2X2L calling 8X3R. Come in, please. 8X3R coming back at 2X2L. I detect. Where are you, 8X3R? Where are you?
C-bot incoming.
I'm speaking from the roof of the broadcast building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing.
A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger.
Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3
New module
million
installation
people
has
moved out
begun.
along the roads. On. Hutchinson River Parkway is still kept open for motor traffic. Floyd Bridges to Long Island is jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago. No more defenses. Our army is wiped out. Artillery, Air Force, everything wiped out. May be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end. People are holding service here below us, the cathedral.
All modules have been located.
Now I look
After
down
all
the
parts have been
harbor,
installed, the shelter will attempt to power back up. When this happens,
overloaded
expect
with
a big
teams,
fight.
population pulling out
The enemy will come
docks.
from all directions. The power-up process takes 4 minutes.
Noise and crowds like New Year's Eve in cities.
A module has been installed.
Wait a minute.
The shelter is now stronger.
The enemy is now in sight above the Palisades. 5.
New module installation
5
has begun.
First one is
C-bot scan is ready to be activated.
see it from here,
Defend
waiting,
C-bot while scanning.
wading the Hudson like a man wading through a brook. A bulletin is handed me. Martian cylinders are falling all over the country. One outside of Buffalo, one in Chicago, St. Louis. Seem to be timed. Safe. Now the first machine reaches the shore. And Watson is looking over the city. Field Cowley's head is even.
A module has been installed. The shelter is now stronger.
Waits for the others. Rise like a lion.
New module
in
installation
power to
has
the city's
begun.
west side.
Looks like the Husk's plans have changed.
Their metal hands.
They seem to know the final part is being installed.
This is the end
They must be
now.
preparing for a larger attack.
Smoke comes out.
Get
black
ready.
Smoke drifting over the city.
Installation
People in the streets see
resuming.
it now. They're running toward the East River, thousands of them, dropping in like rats. Now the smoke's spreading faster. It's reached Times Square. People are trying to run away from it, but it's no use. They're falling like flies. Now the smoke's crossing 6th Avenue. 5th Avenue. 100 yards away. It's 50 feet.
Here they come. Defend the shelter.
presentation of Orson Welles and Mercury Theatre on the Air, the original dramatization of The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Performance will continue after a brief intermission. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, starring Orson Welles and Mercury Theatre on the Air.
Set down these notes on paper. said, but I thought that I may be the last man on Earth. Hiding in this empty house near Grover's Hill. Just a small island of daylight. Black smoke to the rest of the world. All that happened before the arrival of these creatures in the world now seems part of another life. Life with no continuity to the present. The world is existence, a lonely derelict. Pencil these words on the back of some astronomical notes bearing the signature. This kiss. Look down at that black man. Next to the professor who lived in Princeton and who on the night of October 20th glimpsed through the window of an orange flash of light on a distance. White. Colleagues, students, books. Observatory.
Online.
Am I recording? 2 days exist. Time passed when I don't use my hands left. Writing down my daily life, I observed history between the dark covers and the books, towards the movement of the stars. Right?
That's it! This shelter is now ready for action.
Corner is this huge metal leg. Nearly brush against the house. Exhausted by terror, I fall asleep. Morning. Sun seems to black cloud of gas is lifted and scorched meadows north look as though a black snowstorm is I ventured from the house on my way to a road, no traffic. In their wrecked car, baggage overturned, a blackened skeleton. Push on north. For some reason I feel safer trailing these monsters than running away from them. And I keep a careful watch. I've seen the Martians feed. Should one of their machines appear over the top of trees, I'm ready to fling myself flat on the earth. Come to a chestnut tree. That's all right. Fill my pockets. Just keep alive. 2 days I wander in a vague northerly direction through a desolate world. Finally, I noticed a living creature. A small red squirrel in a beech tree. I stare at him and wonder. He stares back at me. I believe at that moment the animal and I shared the same emotion. The joy of finding another living being. Push on north, I find dead cows in a brackish field and beyond the charred ruins of a dairy and a silo. Remain standing guard over the wasteland like a lighthouse. Deserted by the sea. Astride the silo perches a weathercock. The arrow points north. North. Next day, I come to a city. City vaguely familiar in its contours, yet its buildings strangely dwarfed and leveled off as if a giant had sliced off its highest towers with a capricious sweep of his hand. Reached the outskirts, I found Newark. Newark, undemolished but humbled by some whim of the advancing Martians. Presently, with an odd feeling of being watched, I caught sight of something crouching in a doorway. I made a step towards it. It rose up and became a man. A man armed with a large knife.
Stop! Where do you come from?
I come from many places. A long time ago, from Princeton.
Princeton, huh? That's near Grover's Mill.
Yes.
Grover's Mill. There's no food here. This is my country. All this end of town down the river. There's only food for one. Which way you going?
I don't know. I guess I'm looking for people.
What was that? Did we hear something just then?
No. Only a bird. A live bird.
You get to know that birds have shadows these days. Hey, we're in the open here. Let's crawl in this doorway here and talk.
Have you seen any Martians?
No. They're going over to New York. Night, the sky's alive with their lights, just as if people were still living it. Daylight, you can't see them. 5 days ago, a couple of them carried something big across the flats from the airport. I think they're learning how to fly.
Fly?
Yeah, fly.
Then it's all over with humanity. Stranger, there's still you and I. 2 of us left.
Got themselves in solid. They wrecked the greatest country in the world. Those green stars, they're probably falling somewhere every night. They've only lost one machine. There isn't anything to do. We're done. We're licked.
Where were you? You're in a uniform.
Yeah, what's left of it. I was in the militia. National Guard. That's good. There wasn't any war. Any more than there's war between men and ants.
Yes, but we're eatable ants. I found that out. What'll they do to us?
I filled it all out. Right now, we're caught as we're wanted. The Martian only has to go a few miles to get a crowd on the run. But they won't keep on doing that. They'll begin catching us systematic, like keeping the best and storing us in cages and things. They haven't begun on us yet.
Not begun?
Not begun. All that's happened so far is because we don't have sense enough to keep quiet. Bothering them with guns and such stuff and losing our heads and rushing off in crowds. Instead of our rushing around blind, we gotta fix ourselves up. Fix ourselves up according to the way things are now. Cities, nations, civilization, progress.
Yes, but if that's so, what's there to live for?
Well, there won't be any more concerts for a million years or so, and no nice little dinners at restaurants. If it's amusement you're after, I guess the game's up.
What is there left?
Life, that's what. I want to live. Yeah, and so do you. We're not going to be exterminated. I don't mean to be caught either. Tamed and fattened and bred like an ox.
What are you going to do?
I'm going on. Right under their feet. I got a plan. We men as men, we're finished. We don't know enough. We got to learn plenty before we got a chance. We've got to live and keep free while we learn, see? I've thought it all out, see?
What's some of the rest?
Well, it isn't all of us that are made for wild beasts. That's what it got to be. That's what it got to be. That's why I watched you. Watched you. All those little office workers that used to live in these houses, they be no good. They haven't any stuff in them. Run off to work. I've seen hundreds of them running to catch their commuter's train in the morning, afraid they could can if they didn't. Running back at night, afraid they wouldn't be in time for dinner. Lives insured and a little invested in case of accidents. Yeah, and on Sundays, worried about the hereafter. Martians, they'll be a godsend for those guys. Nice roomy cages, good food, careful breeding, no worries. Yeah, after a week or so of chasing around the fields on empty stomachs, they'll come and be glad to be caught.
You've thought it all out, haven't you?
Sure, you bet I have. That isn't all. Martians are going to make pets of them. Train them to do tricks. Who knows, get sentimental over the pet boy who grew up and had to be killed. Yeah, some maybe. They'll train to hunt us. Yes, they will. There's men who do it flat. Me, bye.
Meantime, you and I and others like us, where are we to live when the Martians own the Earth?
All figured out. Live underground. I've been thinking about the sewers. Under New York, there are miles and miles of them. The main ones, they're big enough for anybody. And there's cellars, vaults,
Underground storerooms, railway tunnels, subways. Begin to see. We got a bunch of strong men together. No weaklings. That rubbish, out.
As you meant me to go.
All right. Give you a chance, didn't I?
Won't quarrel about that. Go on.
Well, we got to make safe places for us to stay in, see? Get all the books we can. Science books. That's where men like you come in, see? We raid the museums. We'll even spy on the Martians. May not be so much we have to learn before... Listen. Just imagine this. 4 or 5 of their own fighting machines suddenly start off. Heat rays right and left. Not a Martian in them. Not a Martian in them, see? But men. Men who've learned the way how. May even be in our time. Gee. Imagine having one of them lovely things with its heat ray wide and free. We'd turn it on Martians. We'd turn it on men. We'd bring everybody down on their knees.
That's your plan.
Yeah. You, me, few more of us. We'd own the world.
I see.
Hey. Hey, what's the matter? Where are you going?
Not to your world. Bye, stranger. Well, after parting with the artilleryman, I came at last to the Holland Tunnel, entered that silent tube, anxious to know the fate of the great city on the other side of the Hudson. Cautiously, I came out of the tunnel and made my way up Canal Street. Reached 14th Street, and there again were black powder and several bodies and an evil, ominous smell from the gratings of the cellars of some of the houses. I wandered up through the 30s and 40s, stood alone on Times Square, caught sight of a lean dog running down 7th Avenue with a piece of dark brown meat in his jaws and a pack of starving mongrels at his heels. Made a wide circle around me as though he feared I might prove a fresh competitor. Walked up Broadway in the direction of that strange powder, past silent shop windows, displaying their mute wares to empty sidewalks. Past the Capitol Theater, silent, dark. Past a shooting gallery where a row of empty guns faced an arrested line of wooden ducks. Near Columbus Circle, I noticed models of 1939 motor cars in the showrooms facing empty streets. Over the top of the General Motors building, I watched a flock of black birds circling in the sky. Hurried on. Suddenly, I caught sight of the hood of a Martian machine, standing somewhere in Central Park, gleaming in the late afternoon sun. An insane idea. I rushed recklessly across Columbus Circle and into the park. I climbed a small hill above the pond at 60th Street, and from there I could see, standing in a silent row along the mall, 19 of those great metal Titans, their cowls empty, their steel arms hanging listlessly by their sides. I looked in vain for the monsters that inhabit those machines. Suddenly, my eyes were attracted to the immense flock of black birds that hovered directly below me. They circled to the ground. And there before my eyes, stark and silent, lay the Martians with the hungry birds pecking and tearing brown shreds of flesh from their dead bodies. Later, when their bodies were examined in laboratories, it was found that they were killed by the putrefactive and disease bacteria against which their systems were unprepared. Slain, after all, man's defenses had failed by the humblest thing that God, his wisdom, has put upon this earth. Before the cylinder fell, there was a general persuasion that through all the deep of space, no life existed beyond the petty surface of our minute sphere. Now we see further. Dim and wonderful is the vision I've conjured up in my mind of life spreading slowly from this little seedbed of the solar system throughout the inanimate vastnesses of sidereal space. But a remote dream, maybe. Maybe that the destruction of the Martians is only a reprieve to them and not to us. The future ordained, perhaps. Strange it now seems to sit in my peaceful study at Princeton, writing down this last chapter of the record. gun at a deserted farm in Grover's Mill. Strange to watch children playing in the streets. Strange to see young people strolling on the green where the new spring grass heals the last black scars of a bruiser. Strange to watch the sightseers enter the museum where the disassembled parts of a Martian machine are kept on public view. Strange when I recall the time when I first saw it. Bright, clean cut, hard, and silent under the dawn of that last great day. This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. Out of character, to assure you that the War of the Worlds has no further significance than as the holiday offering it was intended to be. The Mercury Theater's own radio version of dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo. Starting now, we couldn't soap all your windows and steal all your garden gates by tomorrow night, so we did the best next thing. We annihilated the world before your very ears and utterly destroyed the CBS. You will be relieved, I hope, to learn that we didn't mean it, and that both institutions are still open for business. So goodbye, everybody, and remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian, it's Halloween.
Tonight, the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations coast to coast has brought you The War of the World by H.G. Wells, the 17th in its weekly series of dramatic broadcasts featuring Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air. Next week, we present a dramatization of 3 famous short stories. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Producer and director at the age of 22, 26. He directed what almost every film critic has had on his list of the greatest films ever made, Citizen Kane. He has continued to be a wonder ever since. Critic Alexander Wolf once said years ago, I don't remember where he said this, there but for the grace of God goes God, speaking of Orson Welles. Would you please welcome a giant of the entertainment industry, Mr. Orson Welles. Gave you the honor of no music on your entrance. If you had your druthers, Robert, what would you have played?
Mr. Wells.
That's amazing.
The highest compliment we could pay.
Thank you. See,
I used to be chased by a theme song for years.
What was it?
The Harry Lime. I'm so glad everybody forgot it. Yes.
From the Third Man.
Thank you.
We always can play whatever one's forgotten.
Next time. When Dick goes off to fix his makeup, fill in.
Do you worry about that? Things like how you look and are you conscious of that when you're on television? Your hands would be made up.
Well, I'm not on television enough for it to have worked itself up to a phobia because the few times I've been on, I got out of town soon enough so I didn't see it on the box. And that makes it possible for me to be here tonight.
You know, you have me scared a bit.
Not as scared as I am.
You call Mr. Wells
for it to
Hey, Joe, drag your foot, boy. Look what we got here. Hey, you want to drag, huh? Come on. See that telephone pole? We'll take you to it, yeah. Yeah, we can take you. I think we got a pretty nice thing. Well, I can hard to take you, yeah. Yeah, come on. You want to try? Sure. Okay. Rev it up. Come on, man. Get it.
Commander, one of our shelters is under attack. We need to protect those survivors. I've marked the location of the shelter on your map. Those survivors don't stand a chance if the shelter is destroyed. Hurry up and take out those husks.
Planning.
The shield is taking heavy damage.
Oh no! I'm terrified! Future fertilizer!
Nice job! The shelter needs to recharge. Once the shelter is repaired, we can extract the survivors. It'll take 10 minutes to fully recharge the shelter. We've got a storm closing in. Reinforce the shelter and prepare for an attack from any direction. I can't quite tell where the storm is coming from yet.
the mud and sand it's carrying, well, they may never find that car. Right there. All right, now let's hear your story about how it was. Yeah?
We were the first ones on the bridge. And coming along, following the track, and we wanted to get around it like this. We lost control and we
Sure you didn't crowd him off.
Yeah, not sure I want to find that car now. This sand and with that current, we may never find it. Yeah, all I guess we can do is keep trying.
Storm data has been updated. Check your map.
Mary Ann, are you all right?
How'd you get out?
Yeah, put this on. We better get you back to town.
What about the other girl?
More weapons can't hurt. Well, me. Sorry. Nope. Uh-uh.
I supervise the installation myself. The accident won't delay your going, will it?
No. I'm leaving this morning. It's nothing I can do. Deadly weaponry. Yay.
Mary, it takes more than intellect to be a musician. Good luck, Mary. Stop by and see us the next time you're in. I don't know about that girl. How do you mean? Day before yesterday, she was the only one of 3 girls to survive a night. Humble as to gravity. You don't know what? She always kept pretty much to herself. Maybe in her place I'd do the same thing. Just pick up life.
So quiet, like. She's got tough-minded.
I guess that's what it takes to survive. Still,
Well, if she's got a problem, we'll go right along with her.
Can't. We all pass eventually. Whoa!
Here they come! Keep the shelter safe! Protect the shelter until the survivors can be safely extracted. Bonus challenge is now available. Rescue.
Mind if I try this now? I want you to.
I can't believe how many survivors there are. These plankies are tougher than I thought.
Commander, the road ahead is going to be rough. And these recruits could still use a little work. I need you to show them what lies ahead in Plank Harbor.
Well then, let's jump right to the gruesome stuff.
Nothing. Nothing at all.